Barcelona have admitted that there's been no bids from the Premier League for Philippe Coutinho. Is this a sign that he is unwanted? Is it a sign simply that they're asking for too much? Shaka?
I think maybe a little bit of both. I'll be honest. I'll take a chance on Coutinho, but not at the price that reportedly Barcelona want. And then all suggestions are they want to get most of their money back. But given how disappointing he's been since he arrived at the Camp Nou, I'm not sure that you take that chance. Not just in terms of the transfer fee, but what will also be a huge wage packet as well. It's a big gamble. Now, if you can somehow get assurances that you'll get the Coutinho of Liverpool, it's money well spent. If there's the Coutinho of Barcelona, that could sting more than just a little.
Are they getting stung because of what happened involving Neymar, effectively? You know, they made a rod for their own back by receiving so much and paying so much for him. We're now seeing figures quoted for, don't want to be disrespectful, but not for world beaters, but they're world-beating fees. For someone like him, who hasn't had the performances to back that up, they're just experiencing the wrong end of the market now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Listen, the Coutinho transfer just threw the transfer market into total disarray. Nobody had an idea of values for players anymore. And as much as Barcelona got money in for Neymar, a lot of money in, and wanted to show that they were willing to spend and remain competitive, they overspent for Coutinho. And not did they just overspend, but then they overspent and he was disappointing. So now, listen, it's a business that these clubs are running. At the end of the day, you want to get a lot of that money back. But the value just isn't there. The value isn't there because Neymar hasn't moved, so there's not been that injection of cash back in the transfer market. It's starting to settle back down, albeit still a little bit inflated, but things are settling back down. And nobody's going to take a chance on a player who has not delivered over the last couple of seasons in the way that Coutinho has. Now, the easiest fit maybe would be for a Liverpool, given how successful he was. But again, you're not going to pay what Barcelona paid for Coutinho. Maybe there's a more urgent need for Manchester United, who do have a lot of money, just given their own brand and how their own commercial machine, and given the fact that they've certainly under-delivered over the last couple of seasons. Maybe you need that big name player to come in, and I think Manchester United more than any need that impactful midfielder. But would Coutinho go to Old Trafford without Champions League football being in the offing? That's a question for him and his representatives. Personally, if I were advising him, I'd say yes. You've got to take that chance. But then, of course, there's the relationship between Manchester United and Liverpool, and all that comes into play. But all other things being equal, I think is a chance worth taking. And then outside of that, who's willing, who has the cash? Just quite simply, period, to afford Coutinho. I'm not sure that there are many out there.
And if anyone was to stump up that sort of money to get the deal done, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen, he'd have to rediscover his form as well. So there's a big risk involved in bringing him back to the Premier League.
It's a huge risk. I mean, outside the Premier League, the other option, of course, is PSG. I mean, I don't see Manchester City being interested in Coutinho. Maybe PSG, but again, you've got Neymar there, and there's all sorts of issues for them to sort out around financial fair play. It's just a huge risk on a player that you're not quite sure what you're getting.
Just one final point. Barcelona have spent big to get Griezmann through the door. Could that actually be a masterstroke in terms of helping Coutinho a little bit further back? He's now got a player who's a little bit more tricky, more pacey, who can feed off him in other ways that he wasn't able to service his teammates last year.
I don't know. Listen, you've got Luis Suarez, Lionel Messi and Griezmann, all three play. To have Coutinho in there means you're playing with a front four and 6 players, 7 if you include the goalkeeper, are barely going to get past the halfway line. That's going to be their remit. If Coutinho does not rediscover his form, if it's the player that we saw for Barcelona over the last couple of seasons, I don't see how that works. And listen, whereas I was quite willing to make that argument for Neymar, but you know what you're getting with Neymar. If you can just his own antics and somehow keep his own ego in check. I think the talent and his performances are still there. You've not had antics or ego issues with Coutinho, but I don't think the performances have been. It's a harder sell to say you play with a front four, an out-and-out front four with Coutinho than you do with Neymar.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN+.